So for me, I believe strongly that, yes, the economy is on a rebound. Are we out of the woods yet? Of course not. Do we still have challenges? Is the 22%, 24% inflation rate too high? It's still high. But then you can also not discount the fact that we have moved from a certain extreme position to where we are actually making progress. Now, the finance minister spoke about the growth in GDP and how we've added to the GDP of this country over the last period, even in the midst of all the challenges that we are facing. And for me, I think that whilst government will even take some plaudits for that, we also have to commend the Ghanaian people, the Ghanaian entrepreneur, the Ghanaian farmer.
Government will take plaudits for what?
No, I mean for some of the improvements within the sector. I said, of course. I mean, the managers.
If you make the central bank print
Randy, can I
over 40 billion for you and send inflation to 54 and it drops to 22, why must I applaud?
No, but I'm saying that I was making a point.
Okay.
The point I was making is that we need to applaud the entrepreneurship, the ingenuity, the resilience, and then the productivity of the Ghanaian. And that we have a situation where we've gone through some of these challenges, and yet the Ghanaian people are resolute in how they go about their day-to-day activities. And that has contributed to the gains that we are making. Are we out of the woods yet? Of course not. Right? But can we have this conversation where it is devoid of some of these, parochial interests, and people make these things based on expediency? Now, we've come from a backdrop of an economy that was part of a global economy that was facing even global supply chain exigencies. Nobody can tell me that COVID did not impact negatively on Ghana as a country, and even any country at large. It has impacted several countries. As we speak, in the last year or two, the global economy was actually on the verge of a recession. And it's there for everybody to appreciate. But even in the midst of all of these things, public sector workers have still been paid. Agenda 111 is ongoing. Government flagship policy of free SHS is still ongoing. All of these things are happening in the midst of the challenges that we are facing. And it's also not the case that government has not admitted that there are difficulties within the economy.
When you say this, you see, when I try to hear the finance minister say DDEP was painful, we are sorry, forgive us. That is what has brought this thing here. And then in the same breath, I hear, despite the challenges, this is ongoing, that is ongoing, that is ongoing. You have come to put your hands in my pocket and my bag, and you've taken my hard-earned money that I saved from me, and you turn around to tell me that you've done something brilliant.
No, Randy, I was making the point.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I find that very insulting. I'm sorry, but I find it insulting that if you ask me to come and participate in ESLA bonds, and you ask me to participate in, is it Dachi, the one that was they used the GAD fund for? Yes. And you ask me to participate in cocoa bonds. And as we speak today, you are still collecting ESLA levy. You are still collecting GAD fund levy. You are still selling cocoa. And you ask me, the person who brought my savings, my hard-earned savings, whether I'm still working or a pensioner, to come and buy these things. And then you come back and tell me that you have to give me a haircut on my savings. And you also need to change even the interest rates and the period for payment of those things. And that is what enables you to drop the country's debt up to a certain point. And then you turn around and tell me that, oh, despite all these challenges, public sector workers are being paid. Free SHS is on. This is on. But all those things that you're doing so as a result of how you were reckless with your debt management, for which reason you have come to rob me of my personal savings.
No, Randy, you can have a personal opinion on how these things work.
It's a fact. It's not a personal opinion. It's a fact.
No, but you're entitled to that.
You cannot. No, I'm saying that you cannot. If you owe me, you owe me. You cannot tell me that you'll be unable to pay me. I should slash how much you owe me by a certain percentage, and you turn around and tell me that you're doing well for me. How can you say that?
Okay, Randy. So, I mean, we can break it down to that point. We can simplify it to that point. But the point I was trying to make is that you have a situation where you are now grappling with certain key decisions that needs to be made. And the whole concept of governance is about making hard decisions. Now, do you
I
make
disagree.
No, I mean, yeah, it's the whole. But that's my view. You know, I give you your
Yes.
your view as well. So, right, and that as to how to be able to sustain the economy where you don't have a total shutdown of an economy, certain hard decisions have to be made. And I admit that any haircut, even if it's 1% haircut, is painful because people have aspirations, people have plans, people have all of these things. But in the larger context of an economy that was on the verge of challenges.
As a result of what?
No, but you can attribute it. And that's what I'm saying, that you cannot have this conversation without also being very, if you like, practical in the challenges that we face as an economy based on some of these environmental factors. And those are there for everybody to appreciate. Because prior to the issue of COVID and the issue of these challenges within the global economy, right? The economy is on record to have been growing by an average of 7% over that period. And so those gains are there. Those are things that are there for everybody to appreciate. And that's what I'm saying, that we cannot pick and choose. That's my view. We cannot pick and choose what we want to understand as basic economics, and then we sort of almost find a way of sort of bringing in emotional conversation or social conversation.
What is emotional?
No, but that's what I'm saying.
What is emotional about?
Personal, no,
what is emotional
Randy,
about?
Randy,
Let me yeah, but when you say emotion, I feel insulted.
Oh, come on,
no, to be very honest with you.
I'm not saying that. I'm just
maybe
saying,
you didn't intend to.
No.
But to be honest with you, for anybody who's watching,
yes,
who has suffered under the DDEP, and they express that, and you describe it as emotional.
No, I'm not doing
that. That's extremely insulting.
Randy, you're being unfair to me. I didn't.
No, I'm not. You said it.
No, I'm saying that. Once we're discussing these things, right, within a certain context, people have personal experiences, personal challenges because of their, if you like, exposure to the economy. So you're speaking about DDP, bonds and all of that. They're exposed. They are impacted personally, right? And so for persons like that, it doesn't matter what you say. You're not really trying to even justify why they should go through those challenges, because as far as they're concerned, those were almost like an ironclad investment that they did. But I'm making the point that whilst we are having this conversation, also have a conversation around the fact that decisions have to be made. Governments are basically judged by decisions that they make. So you live and die by the decisions that you make. So if you're grappling or you're facing a situation where your debt payments are not sustainable, you're unable to do that, and you have a basket of things that you're supposed to.
But how? Why did you get there? That's my point.
But we can have.
Because I read a line where the finance minister is reported as saying that. Here it says what? He attributed the surge in inflation to the global economic meltdown due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the COVID-19 pandemic, and not because of economic mismanagement.
Yeah, but
now,
Randy,
just hold on a minute. Yeah. If I read my finance minister say this, and he says that inflation was due to Russia-Ukraine and COVID-19 pandemic, then I ask myself, what are you talking about? In 2022, we know what you made the central bank do. And everybody knows that that is what shot us up to 54% amongst other things.
No, Randy,
so how do you turn around and say that
Randy,
it has nothing to do with economic mismanagement?
Randy, that cannot be correct.
What cannot be correct?
I'll make the point. The point I'm making is that everybody that even takes a cursory look at a global economy understands and appreciates the global supply chain exigencies that were present during the era of COVID.
Yes.
We are an economy, we're a small economy by global standards. We're an economy that has been dependent on these exigencies over a period. So even basic things like we would use for even productivity locally, we're having challenges. You had a huge surge in terms of pricing when it came to freight and supply chain conversations, because all these entities now started focusing, going internal. I mean,
in 2022,
looking internally. But these are ripple
effects. Are you referring to 2022?
No, but Randy,
yes.
see, they are ripple effects. So something happens in economics. Something happens in 2020, right? And for some reason, you have some level of, if like shock absorbers to be able to deal with that. the ripple effect would happen in 2021, 2022. My view, again,
this is not correct.
No, but is it? But
the Bank of Ghana has been stopped. The Bank of Ghana has been stopped by the IMF from doing the things it did in 2022.
Randy, and that's what I'm saying, that you can.
And that's why we're seeing what we are seeing. You see, sometimes people even forget that we're on an IMF program until 2019. So sometimes when we even talk about our performance around that time, look at when we exited the IMF program, what our performance was before even COVID came, and when we were on the IMF program, and then look at what it was before we joined this new IMF program, and now.
Yeah, but Randy, I think that, so if you're even making that point, the point that I'm trying to make is that we cannot move away from these indicators. We cannot move away from the fact that at 6 months, a year down ago, we had these major challenges. We had issues with grappling with our debt payment. We had to restructure. These are hard, painful decisions that had to be taken. We had a surge in inflation. We did that. Skyrocketing food prices and everything. Then, yesterday, finance minister is saying that, okay, looking at juxtaposing that over a year ago, 2 years ago, these were the things that was happening. As we speak, it's looking like the economy is on a rebound. However, he admits that we are not out of the woods yet. I honestly don't understand how, anybody would actually have issues with a finance minister that's admitting that, yes, we have had challenges.
A finance minister, I will have a problem with a finance minister who says that
have been impacted negatively.
Inflation went that way, not as a result of economic mismanagement, but as a result of Russia, Ukraine, and COVID.
No, but
that would be dishonest.
No, but are you saying that? Are you saying that we were not impacted negatively by these?
I haven't said that. I'm telling you that the 2022 inflation was largely on the back of all those monies that the central bank printed. And I'm surprised that anybody who reads the data, who gets all the information from the Bank of Ghana itself, our budget statement, everything, will be able to say that what happened in 2022 has nothing to do with economic mismanagement. How can you say that?
Right,
how can you say that?
So, but I've made a point that, and even if you don't even stop with the finance minister, the president himself has on occasion admitted that we are going through challenges. We had to make certain hard decisions, and that was important that we are resolute in our ambition to develop as a country, and certain considerations are being made. However, you cannot allow the entire system to come to a halt. So government was committed to ensuring that certain fundamental flagship policies will still continue, and that would in a way, will stimulate growth, would engender productivity so that economy will bounce back. Now, we also have a situation where your economy is predominantly almost informal, right? And I've always said that even whilst we tout all of these indicators and all of those things, it's probably because of the very informal nature of an economy that we probably never even got to a point where there was a total shutdown. Because people have ways, Ghanaians are ingenious, they're entrepreneurial, they find ways of actually making sure that there's still productivity and they're contributing their quota to the economy. And I believe that based on all the indicators, like the finance minister said, the economy is on a rebound. Let's find ways of actually making sure that, yes, people who are still struggling or who have been impacted by these decisions that have been made will come out of that.